All right, welcome. Today, we are going to take a grand tour of one of the most geographically diverse nations on Earth, India. We're going to travel all the way from its icy northern peaks, literally the highest on the planet, down to its sun-drenched tropical shores. So let's get started. I mean, really think about that for a second. How is it possible for one single country to have the planet's tallest mountain range, endless fertile plains, an ancient rocky core, and tropical islands? It almost sounds like it can't be real. Well, that's the puzzle we're going to solve today as we explore the incredible physical features that define India. Okay, so first things first. Before we dive into the details, we need to zoom way out to get our bearings. To really get a handle on the diversity inside India, you first have to appreciate its incredible size and its place on the world map. To put things into perspective, India is the seventh largest country in the world by land area. It's just massive. We're talking about a country that's only smaller than giants like Russia and Canada. This sheer size is the first piece of our puzzle because it creates this huge canvas where all this amazing geographical variety can even exist in the first place. And you can see that massive scale playing out inside the country too. Take India's largest state, Rajasthan, which is mostly desert. You could fit its smallest state, the little coastal paradise of Goa, inside of it more than 90 times. That just gives you a sense of the wild range of environments you can find without ever leaving the country. And this right here is a perfect example of how the land dictates life. In the incredibly fertile plains of a state like Bihar, you've got over 1,100 people packed into every single square kilometer. But then you go to the rugged, mountainous state of Arunachal Pradesh, and that number just plummets to 17. Same country, but they might as well be on different planets, and it's all because of the geography. All right, let's start our journey. We're heading way up north to the colossal mountain range that acts like a giant natural wall separating India from the rest of Asia. Yep, we're talking about the Himalayas. So where do the Himalayas even begin? Well, it all kicks off at this incredible place called the Pamir Knot, but it's got a much cooler nickname, the Roof of the World. You can picture it like a central hub where all these massive mountain ranges, the Himalayas, the Karakoram, the Hindu Kush, they all smash together and then spread out from there, kind of like spokes on a gigantic wheel. It's the geological anchor for the whole region. Now, here's the thing. The Himalayas aren't just one giant wall. Think of it more like three distinct layers, all running parallel to each other. First, you have the Greater Himalayas, or the Himadri. This is where you find the world's highest peaks, all covered in snow year-round. Then, just south of that, you have the Lesser Himalayas, which are a bit lower. And finally, you get to the Shivalik foothills, which are the last little ridges before the mountains just melt away into the flat plains below. So, as we come down from those towering peaks, we walk right into one of the most important landscapes on the entire planet, the Great Northern Plains. This is the agricultural heartland of India. So you might be wondering, how did this huge, flat, super fertile area even get here? Well, the answer flows right down from the mountains we just left. The plains were built, piece by piece, by three gigantic river systems that are born in the Himalayas, the Indus, the Ganga, and the Brahmaputra. You can think of these rivers as the architects of this whole landscape. And the process is just this incredible act of natural construction that's been going on for ages. As the rivers come roaring down from the mountains, they grind up rocks and soil, carrying millions of tons of this superfine, nutrient-packed silt. It's called alluvium, and it's basically geological gold. For thousands and thousands of years, these rivers have spread that silt across the lowlands, building up the vast, flat, and unbelievably fertile plains we see today. And because of all that amazing soil, this whole region is an absolute agricultural powerhouse. Seriously, it's one of the most densely populated places on the planet, feeding and supporting hundreds of millions of people. But even here, there's diversity. As you move west, these lush plains eventually give way to the huge Thar Desert. All right, our tour continues south. We're leaving the young new plains behind and heading into the ancient, rocky heart of India, the Peninsular Plateau. First, a quick definition. What's a peninsula? It's really simple, a chunk of land with water on three sides. And the southern half of India is a classic example. It's this giant triangle of land sticking out into the ocean, with the Arabian Sea on one side, the Bay of Bengal on the other, and the Indian Ocean at the bottom. And a plateau? The best way to think about it is like a giant tabletop. It's this huge area of land that's pretty flat on top, but it's raised way up high above everything around it. And that tabletop structure is really what defines the geography of southern India. And get this isn't some new feature. The Peninsular Plateau is literally one of the oldest and most stable chunks of rock on the planet. It's a piece of the ancient supercontinent Gondwana. It's all made of these hard old rocks, which means it's an absolute treasure trove of minerals, especially in places like the Chotanagpur Plateau. Okay, for the last part of our grand tour, we're going to the very edges of India, to the mountain ranges that line the plateau, the buzzing coastlines, and even the islands way out in the ocean. So, lining the edges of that big tabletop plateau are two mountain ranges called the Ghats, and they couldn't be more different. The Western Ghats are like a high, unbroken wall running right down the west coast, but the Eastern Ghats on the other side are lower and all broken up. They've been worn down over millions of years by powerful rivers cutting through them on their way to the sea. And squeezed in between those mountains and the ocean, you've got the coastal plains. These narrow little strips of land are the economic arteries of the country, home to major cities and busy ports that are India's gateway to the world. But wait, we're not quite done. Our tour wouldn't be complete without a quick trip offshore. Out in the Bay of Bengal, you have the Andaman and Nicobar Islands, which are actually the tops of a submerged volcanic mountain range. And then, over in the Arabian Sea, you have the Lakshadweep Islands, a beautiful chain of tiny coral islands. Wow. So we've gone from the roof of the world all the way down to these tropical seas. Let's just take a step back and think about what this incredible geographical puzzle really means. You know, there's a saying that just hits the nail on the head here. It's that in India, every few hundred kilometers you travel, the landscape, the weather, and the way people live can change completely. And that's not just a description of the land. It's about how that land shapes everything else. So here's the big takeaway. The icy Himalayan barrier, the life-giving northern plains, that ancient mineral-rich plateau, and the sunny, bustling coasts, they aren't just separate places. They're all part of one giant, interconnected system that works together to create the unique character of India. And that leaves us with one final massive question to think about. How has this incredible geography, with its massive mountains that act as barriers and its fertile rivers that have been cradles of civilization, how has all of that shaped the thousands of different cultures, languages, and rich histories of the more than 1 billion people who call this place home? Now that is the true story of India.